those council members who have announcements to make, please push your microphone buttons and I will recognize you. Councilmember Syracuse.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Appreciate it. This Saturday, March 23rd, for those neighbors that live in the Spence Enclave, your annual HOA meeting is this Saturday, 10 a.m. at the Hermitage Precinct. So make sure you come out to that. The developers for a potential Burger King that is right across the street there at the kind of the corner of Lebanon and Spence will be there to present their proposal. So I'm hoping that we have a lot of neighbors coming out to that. So Spence Enclave HOA meeting this Saturday at the Hermitage Precinct this Saturday. And then next Monday, this is for everybody, the annual Taste of Donaldson Hermitage will be at the Inn at Opryland, which is in the Music Valley area. That is at 5 p.m. and it'll feature so many different great restaurants in the Donaldson Hermitage and Old Hickory area. And so I hope everybody will come out next Monday at 5 p.m. at the Inn at Opryland, the Taste of Donaldson Hermitage, sponsored by the Donaldson Hermitage Chamber of Commerce. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Hall.
Thank you. I want to make sure we remind everybody that we're doing one more event this weekend on the 22nd. It is for the trustee's office to help people with taxes. So we've had a good sign up and renewal for the first term, but we want to make sure that everybody comes out. Metro's trustee's office, on-site sign up and renewal for property tax relief and freeze programs. So it'll be this Friday, the 22nd, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Bordeaux Branch Library, and that's at 4000 Clarksville Pike. And also, I want to remind everybody, coming up in a few weeks, the Whites Creek High School solar panel project. We'll be doing the ribbon cutting for that new Academy of Alternative Energy and Sustainability. That will be at Whites Creek High School on Thursday, April the 11th at 10 a.m. And that school is located at 7277 Old Hickory Boulevard.
Are there any other council members with announcements? Councilmember O'Connell. I'll take Councilmember Van Rees first if you're still gathering thoughts. Councilmember Van Rees.
He's too slow. First of all, congratulations on solar energy. Madison knows a little bit about that. In fact, Music City Solar is celebrating its 1-year anniversary since the groundbreaking and 6 months of solar power. So we're very excited about that. This Thursday will be the traditional monthly coffee with NVR. We'll be back at Sidekicks Cafe in Madison at 8:30 a.m. for an open office hour. We'll have maps, but otherwise no agenda, so please come out and say hello. Also be at Dee's Country Cocktail Lounge on a Sunday at 4:30, so come and say hi there as well. And the following Saturday, we're going to be having a community cleanup over at the Graymar area. So if you're part of the Graymar Neighborhood Association or want to be, please join us on Saturday, and you can email me more about that at nancy.vanreese@nashville.gov. Thanks so much.
Sure thing. Councilmember Glover.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Just very quickly, I don't want to interrupt the meeting tonight, but I did want to recognize everyone in the chamber and say thank you for supporting the cost of living adjustment resolution. Even though it was non-binding, I think we showed that it was important to this council, and hopefully, everybody throughout the city realizes it is something that's important. Again, didn't want to eat up time in the meeting tonight, but thank you to every council member. Thank you to all the employees. Thank you to everyone who supported us on this issue. Thank you.
Sure thing. Councilmember O'Connell. Slow computer. Any other council members? We will wait on Councilmember O'Connell's computer.
Madam President, did anybody mention the community needs assessment?
No, it has not been mentioned.
Okay, I will include that in mine as.
Thank you.
Just give me 1 second. I've got a couple things to pull up.
And we'll go to Councilmember Fabian Bedney while we're waiting.
Thank you. So I know many in the Southeast are disappointed because we didn't get any of these traffic calming projects. I know Councilor Bircher was share my disappointment on that. And obviously, you know, the city has many issues throughout that needs to be addressed, and it's very hard to decide where to do it next. So in an effort to get ahead of the issue, we discussed with Councilmember O'Connell earlier at the Public Works Committee to engage in a proactive way to avoid future situations where we need to come back and fix traffic issues. So I wanted the people watching to know that we are going to set up a meeting, both of the Public Works and Planning Committee, to talk about how to design these neighborhoods and design the city in a way that we don't have to come back later and do tweaks with Public Works. So just stay tuned and get involved when we have the meeting and share with us ideas you may have on how to be proactive in dealing with these issues. Traffic has a huge impact in quality of life in our communities, and we really can't afford to ignore it anymore. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you. I want to, if it hasn't already been announced, announce that Rosebank neighbors will be meeting on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at Memorial Lutheran Church. That neighborhood falls within District 6 and 7, so Councilmember Anthony Davis and I will both look forward to meeting neighbors there. That is on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at Memorial Lutheran Church, 1212 Riverside Drive at the corner of Carter and Riverside. I guess I'll follow up a little bit on Councilmember Bedney's post. I want to thank all of the District 6 neighborhoods that did submit traffic calming applications. I understand that there was a rigorous screening process, and some of the District 6 applications came close but didn't quite make this round, but just want to reassure everyone that we will continue working with Public Works to look at specific areas. We are, as a council, still looking at hopefully reducing speed limits countywide and seeing if that helps some of those matters. And I will also be working with some of the neighborhoods in District 6 to put together a task force for what's being called the East Nashville Neighborway Project, which is a little bit of a network of streets in East Nashville that we're going to look at for bike and pedestrian safety. So never to fear, even though District 6 folks didn't make this round, we do have a lot of other opportunities and things that we'll be talking about before the next round of applications can be filed. So appreciate everyone's patience. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Madam President, at long last. I wanted to bring to people's attention, colleagues have on their desk the 10th annual Community Needs Evaluation produced by Metropolitan Social Services. Metro Social Services for the past few years has hosted an event that really takes the entire city through a tour of basically the financial condition of Nashville. The 10th annual Community Needs Evaluation presentation will be tomorrow at the Catholic Pastoral Center at 2800 McGavick Pike. The program runs from 8:30 to 10 a.m. There is an 8 a.m. to 8:30 registration window. But this is a pretty remarkable moment for the city each year where we learn demographic, social, and socioeconomic data that reflects the status of financially struggling families in Davidson County. It also includes information about the specific issues of aging and disability, food and nutrition, housing and neighborhoods, and workforce and economic opportunity. I think it's actually a great way to reflect on the condition of the city as a whole as we go into the budget process. So I really do encourage, if you can't make it to this event, do go to the Metro Social Services website later in the week. They will usually have the community needs evaluation available online as a larger document. I suspect, I don't know this yet for sure, but I suspect Metro Nashville Network will broadcast this, or I'll look for other ways to make sure that the materials in the presentation are generally available, but I do encourage people to attend that again. That's Wednesday, March 20th, 8:30 to 10 a.m., presentation of the 2018 Community Needs Evaluation by Metro Social Services at the Catholic Pastoral Center at 2800 McGavock Pike. Immediately following that is the Metro Schools State of Schools address at 10 a.m. That will be at Stratford High, which is at 1800 Stratford Avenue. So for an update again on one of our biggest fiscal priorities, I encourage people to either attend that or view it online. I know that Metro Schools typically does have a live stream of that available and an archive. Following that, on Thursday, I'm pleased, this is kind of a cross-promotion event. Metro Schools board member Christian Buggs has had a couple of community meetings in District 19. I encourage District 19 families who are either Metro Schools families or prospective Metro Schools families to go take an opportunity to visit with her tomorrow evening at Napier Elementary School down on Fairfield Street. That is at 60 Fairfield Avenue from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Again, Member Buggs will be having a community meeting on site at the elementary school out there on Fairfield. And then on Friday evening, strongly encourage people in the Capital District, but certainly anywhere in the community, to attend the My Canvas Art Show. It is located at MDHA's Cheatham Place in their community room at 1564 9th Avenue North. It's going to run Friday, March 22nd from 4 to 7 p.m. It's free admission. There's art, food, face painting, and more. And the highlights are to just see the work of youth artists and basically what happens when youth in the inner city have the opportunity to express themselves in a positive and creative way. I've attended this show for several years, and it really is just an amazing display of creativity. You can actually bid on some of the artwork to support further workshops. And this is actually a process that is an active art therapy approach and you can see how these art therapy workshops are cultivating resiliency in some of the very families that we will probably learn more about tomorrow morning during the community needs evaluation. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember Hagar.
Yeah, I did find one thing. We've got a Coffee with a Cop on March 26th, next Tuesday, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Starbucks at 5008 Oak Boulevard in Hermitage. If you want to meet some of the police officers that protect and serve the community, that's a good time to go meet with them. It's in the afternoon, so you're coming in from work. Be a good time to stop by and have a cup of coffee with them and show your appreciation for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Connell, are you back with one more thing? You're recognized.
Yep, thank you, Madam President. Councilmember Hager reminded me that we have a Q&A with Central Precinct Commander Howie coming up, hosted by the Nashville Downtown Partnership. That is on Tuesday, March 26th. It's a lunchtime event, 11:30 to 12:30. In the mid-morning at the Nashville Downtown Partnership, which is located at 150 4th Avenue North, particularly for any downtown residents, businesses, stakeholders who want to come get an update from Central Precinct. This is a great opportunity to interact with both the precinct commander as well as the community coordinator. I encourage anyone, to Councilmember Hager's point, if you want to just come meet some of the members of the Metro Nashville Police Department and see how they are, hear more about how they're keeping our community safe and the things they might need from the community to assist in that effort. This is a great opportunity to do it. Again, Q&A with Central Precinct Commander Howie, Tuesday, March 26, 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Nashville Downtown Partnership, 150 4th Avenue North. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I've just got one thing in District 17 coming this Saturday from 8:30 to 11 at Midtown Hills Precinct. Something that will affect, actually, the last three of us who spoke. The design of 12th Avenue South. We'll have members of Metro Planning and Metro Public Works there to talk through design based on community input and they'll be discussing a variety of things regarding bike lanes, regarding bus stops, regarding street design overall. So 8:30 to 11, Midtown Hills Precinct this Saturday. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other council members wishing to make announcements? Councilmember Henderson, is your presentation now or at 6:30? It will happen at 6:30. Okay, with that, I will close the announcement period.